Hello and welcome. This is Intimacy After, a podcast for mature women facing intimacy issues from various causes. Please know you are not alone. It is time to stop suffering in silence. On this podcast, we give hope that through practice of simple steps and proven tips, you can improve intimacy and resurrect your love life. Break free, learn to laugh again, to play again, to be happy, to love, and know that you are loved. I am your host, Queen. Come on inside. Hey, sister friend, welcome inside to another episode of Intimacy After. I missed you last week. My voice was just not behaving, but I'm back. There's been some reference to erectile dysfunction, also called ED, in my past podcast, and a few questions regarding partners who are affected by ED also came to light. So, today we're going to navigate the waters of erectile dysfunction and how it impacts both partners. In the first couple podcasts, I reviewed how I became interested in this area of intimacy after various life changes. As a radiation oncologist, that's a physician who treats cancer with radiation, in follow-up with my female patients, they mentioned how they felt left out regarding intimacy in the post-cancer survivorship setting. There have been commercials in support of men regaining their stamina, regaining their identity and functionality. The focus appears to be on how the male counterparts feel when they are unable to perform, unable to satisfy self and or others. But what about the female partners? It may or may not be an issue, again, depending on the baseline of your relationship. However, that's not to say that things cannot change for better. If facing erectile dysfunction, ED, there may be opportunities to explore together as a couple different and various ways of intimacy that may benefit you also, sister friend. Is it possible to have an interest in the outcome of treatment for erectile dysfunction as a female? Is it selfish to want more? Before going any further, let's have a basic understanding of what ED actually is, because there's been some finger pointing and some concept that's proven to be just not true. So we have to just step back a little bit before we get any deeper. Have you ever had that talk though? Like had a chat with your mate about what erectile dysfunction, ED, actually is? There are lots of information out there, but it's time to bring it in and talk about what ED is and how it affects not just him, but also you. So what exactly is erectile dysfunction? Before we talk about that, have you ever considered how the penis actually function? I know, right? We are going to go back to this Anatomy 101. Before we can talk about the blame game or how this happened or who's at fault, we need to know, well, how does a penis actually become erect? Let's talk about this. The common and easiest way that I typically explain to my male patients when discussing the effects of cancer treatment on the erection function is that there are two parts to having an erection. One, there are nerves that run on either side of the prostate to the penis that is responsible for waking up the penis, if you will, when aroused. It remains flaccid. Secondly, the blood then flow into the penis to make it firm enough for intercourse or interaction. So That means anything that affects these major players will therefore affect erection and lead to dysfunction. That is, the nerves, the blood vessels, curvature of the penis itself, etc. Erectile dysfunction then occurs when someone has trouble getting or keeping an erection firm enough for sexual activity. It's a common issue, especially for men as they get older, but it can happen to any male at any time for a multitude of reasons. There are several common causes of ED, which typically categorize into physical, psychological, and some others due to lifestyle. Nothing in these common causes include you, my sister friend. Because this is a physical thing, you are not to blame. But let's talk about some of these, right? Let's determine which category your mate is in. It could be more than one category as well. I'm going to cover like the three most common umbrella things that can affect your mate. So we have physical causes, and this include problems with blood flow, nerves, or hormones. Conditions like high blood pressure, which is very common, heart disease, which is also very common, diabetes, too common, and obesity that is on the rise can all make it more difficult to have an erection because they affect blood circulation. So again, there are certain building blocks that causes an erection. What are those building blocks? And when those building blocks are affected, what and how does it manifest when it comes to erectile dysfunction? The other thing, too, is mental health, which plays a big role in ED and is bundled in psychological causes. So, when we talk about stress, anxiety, depression, and even relationship problems, can interfere with how brain sends that signal body for sexual activity. So, if any of those things is affecting mind, then mind is not connecting to say, hey, get aroused, have an erection, let's play here. This has been depicted in some movies. If, a couple is in a sexual situation, and let's say this young man is overly overjoyed that he's finally getting to meet this lovely lady. And in his excitement, the pressure for performance become an issue, and the male is unable to achieve an erection due to that stressor. And this is shown in the movie as, the guy being embarrassed by the lack of the ability to function, but eventually that comes around and he settles down, etc. It's the same thing that can be going on in some of our mostly younger males when they're having these psychological issues that's affecting their ability to function. Then there are also lifestyle factors, which include such choices as smoking too much, alcohol, using drugs, or not getting enough exercise, among other things that can lead to and cause problems with erection, right? These habits can hurt your mate's body's ability to have that healthy blood flow or affect the hormone levels. And this is going to manifest as an ability to have that erection necessary for penetration and sexual function. Understanding these causes helps people and can help you find the right treatment or changes they can make to improve the situation. No one likes to feel like they are alone when going through any issues. So, though many prefer not to discuss this topic, it is important to realize just how common this condition truly is. For my international listeners, global prevalence of erectile dysfunction is estimated to be over 150 million worldwide, which is expected to double by 2025. Some of you may not be good with numbers or like numbers, but when you hear 150 million and you are one, that goes to show how common it truly is. In the United States, about 30 million men are affected by erectile dysfunction. For age-related prevalence of ED, Men in their 40s, around 40% of them experience some form of erectile dysfunction. That's a lot of men facing these issues. Yes, approximately 40% of men in their 40s, like, wow. Unfortunately, the numbers continue to increase with age. And so, plus or minus a few percentage, but men in their 60s, about 60% of them are having issues. Men age 70 and up to 70% of them are facing erectile dysfunction in some capacity. To bring it down to easy to understand term, if you know 10 men who are in their 70s, 7 or more of them having problems with erection. So it's a big deal, right? A room full of men in their 40s, 4 out of 10 of them are already starting to have issues. So the numbers may be startling to some, especially if you're listening and you're not currently facing any such issue. I recommend you enjoy your mate for as long as you can. Oh boy, gotta have fun with this. It's a serious matter, but it's not all on you. With such startling numbers and starting as early as in the 40s, many couples are facing erectile dysfunction issues. And it may be that each of you just go to your own corner, not acknowledging or addressing the issue, right? Oh, that's his issue or his problem, you may be thinking, but you will find that he may just be yearning to talk to you about it and find out how you may feel about erectile dysfunction. It may matter greatly to you or it may not. But one thing is for sure, it matters immensely to him. Talk about it. Another thing I found out too was that there are some men who are so embarrassed and not wanting to talk about it that they will abstain from sexual intercourse. They will abstain from touching you. So you don't know what's going on. You have to talk to him about what's going on. Do say something like, hey, babe, it's been a week, a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year. What's going on? Are you experiencing erectile dysfunction? Uncomfortable conversation, I know, but it's conversations that need to be had. Because of this, erectile dysfunction can significantly impact your relationships and intimacy through many ways. Let's talk about a few here. The emotional strain of the elephant in the room, where couples often experience stress, frustration, and a decrease in sexual satisfaction. Maybe when y'all first got together, it was toe curling, great sex, and everything was fantastic, and the ripping off of the clothes, then it became so-so, and then non-existent. Or it may have been so-so in the beginning or non-existent to begin with. Regardless of where you were, erectile dysfunction can lead to decreased intimacy and decreased emotional connection between you and your mate. Sometimes the decrease in connection is purely because of his self-consciousness about the issue. For some of my more seasoned listeners who are in their 70s and 80s, you may have been through a relationship before and is now on your second or third marriage, and you have made it known that, okay, I'm in this relationship just for companionship, right? Sexual intercourse is not required. However, keep listening because I will get into portions of intimacy that may not include intercourse. So even though you're having this friendship, holding of the hands may be all you want, but it could get a little bit better. Keep listening. Another thing, though, is that communication challenges can become even more magnified During this time of sexual issues due to erectile dysfunction, some couples may avoid discussing the issue, which can exacerbate feelings of isolation or misunderstanding. And sometimes the smallest thing, the smallest issues or misunderstanding may get blown out of proportion simply because of the underlying erectile dysfunction problem that he may be facing and that you may or may not be aware of. I may be wrong, but there is nothing worse than being in a relationship and feeling isolated from your mate. For my younger listeners, or for those who are seeking to find their soulmate, I have to pause right here and let you know I don't believe in soulmate. I am my own soulmate, and my hubby is the whipped cream and cherry on top. One thing I know for sure is that you have to be okay with yourself first before being able to build a relationship. It's foundational. But that's for another podcast. All that to say what you already know. The relationship and bond in a marriage is very important. You are doing life with another human in close proximity. It matters. If not discussed and attended to, erectile dysfunction can lead to relational breakdown. In some cases, ED can lead to reduced quality of life, and if left untreated like a disease like cancer, it will contribute to relationship conflicts or even separation and death of a relationship through divorce. Therefore, sister friend, treatment is important, and treatment typically include counseling, some level of self-realization, prayers. Open communications are critical and a good start to addressing this erectile dysfunction issue and its effects on intimacy. The emotional impact on her, on you, is often overlooked. ED can have a profound emotional impact on the female partner in a relationship, and many women like yourself may experience feelings of rejection, self-blame, and even insecurity. You may wonder if you are no longer attractive or if you did something wrong to cause your partner's difficulties. Yes, sadly, I have heard it all, and sometimes it's all because of ignorance, right? And ignorance simply means because he doesn't know what's causing this. So, he may blame you because you gained weight, you may have cut off your hair, or some other change that is different from when you first met 10, 15, 25 plus years ago. Like, come on now. That is unacceptable to use that as some kind of gauge as to why he may be having erectile dysfunction. I typically remind some of my patients that the only thing constant is change, and that includes the human body as well. But these thoughts of blame can lead to a sense of inadequacy and a fear that the relationship may deteriorate. As one woman shared, I couldn't help but feel it was my fault. I thought he was no longer attracted to me, and it hurt deeply. Sister friend, if he's staying away, it could be for multiple reasons. And I won't go into that. We're all detectives at heart. But if all else fails, just start with the anatomy. Just start with the basic. Could it be erectile dysfunction? Right? And remember, his function is not based on you. That is why this information is so very important for you to understand the mechanics of his erectile dysfunction. It is outside of you. It is not caused by you. Though I have heard the ridiculous argument of blame saying that, well, he had diabetes and other health issues because she cooks that type of food for him. Isn't that the most ridiculous thing ever? Blaming someone else based on the food that was prepared with love? Instead of blame, how about shopping together, or watching a documentary about healthier food options. For some of us, and yes, I said us purposely, the food we eat is culturally ingrained. How do you tug away someone from their barbecue ribs or double cheeseburger with bacon and fried chicken and jerk chicken and lasagna? And you can add your favorite to the list and don't even go to the desserts, right? Nevertheless, I'm not sure how even to address that ridiculous blame game. She cooked the food? Oh boy. What do you think? Are you to blame? What is a good way to address this issue? Leave me a message. Would love to hear your input. Well, sister friend, this may sound foreign to you, but it is possible to rekindle intimacy beyond the usual. So let's dive into something sizzling that doesn't require a single bedsheet acrobatic move. I see you out there, past cheerleaders and gymnasts. You can keep the pom-poms though. They may come in useful. Yep, we're talking about rekindling intimacy beyond the all in and out routine. Who knew there was an entire universe of closeness outside traditional bed hopping, or whatever it was for you, living room hopping, kitchen hopping, backseat of the car hopping, airplane hopping? I'm hoping that you are having fun when you were hopping. First up, let's chat about touch. Not just any touch, but the kind that makes your heart do a happy dance. Imagine a sensual game of tag with massages or a deep dive into Tantra, turning your living room into a Zen zone. It's not just about where you touch, but how you make the other person feel. It's pretty much the adult version of coloring inside the lines. Now, if you're into more active bonding, why not cha-cha your way into a tango lessons or roll out the yoga mat for some interesting position? Why did they name that position downward dog? I always wonder. I never saw a dog doing yoga. Have you? Grown-up conversation here. Okay, so let's go to the kitchen. Cooking a spicy dish together might sound cliche, but the playful banter over who chops the tomatoes or the carrots or the celery better is priceless, and you get to taste test your teamwork. And here's a fun fact from another sex therapist. Intimacy doesn't need a GPS that points only to the bedroom, as we previously talked about hopping around. Dive into sensory delights like feeling the warmth of each other's skin, getting intoxicated by your partner's scent, listening to each other's heartbeat, or even indulging in an intense, no blinking allowed eye gazing competition. Trust me, the giggles you'll share, try not to blink, will connect you in ways you never saw coming. It's just sheer joy. It's playful and it's fun, right? These playful ventures into the realm of intimacy help you discover those little islands of connection that aren't reliant on anyone's plumbing working flawlessly. So erectile dysfunction won't even come into the ploy or is an issue. Think of it as a treasure hunt for the senses, where the real prize is discovering new facets of each other. Now, in these playful engagements and endeavors, there may be a time or two where something may not be quite pleasant, just simply say, whoa, oh, that's not going to work, honey. That's not going to work. And then try something else. Never try to make it too uncomfortable for too long, and make it a playful banter so the moment will just pass and you move on to something else. These shared experiences not only cultivate a sense of partnership, but also evoke a playful aspect of intimacy that often gets lost in the routine of daily life and phone calls and work and everything else. And it brings you together in a way that is unbelievable, and the bonds just get tighter. Embarking on a journey of exploration together identifies unique preferences and desires that don't necessarily depend on erectile function. Ultimately, though, sister friend, ultimately, these creative detours aren't just a workaround. They're a celebration of your relationship's depth and diversity. It's about layering the connection with laughter and tenderness and a dash of curiosity. By embracing these adventures, you're signing up for a journey that's as much about enjoying the ride as it is about reaching any particular destination. So put on your explorer's hats and get ready to uncover new territories of love, fueled by humor and genuine connection. Wrapping it up, folks, let's talk about being a dynamic duo when things get tricky. If erectile dysfunction is crashing your party, it's crucial to tag team with medical professionals in this area to uncover what's really going on. My disclaimer again, I'm a radiation oncologist by trade, so while I may treat sexual dysfunction caused by cancer treatment, this is not my primary specialty. I do like my male patient cancer survivors to follow up with specialties in that field, urologists. They can do much more than I can. I'm limited to pills and suggestion of various pumps, etc., but they can go deeper. They can talk about the various mechanics of things, and they can discuss various pumps and then graduate to injection at the base of the penis just before intercourse. Yes, the needle is super fine though, like super, super fine. It's like a wire. I've been told it doesn't really hurt much. Implants, among other treatment modalities. Ladies, please, please go to these appointments with your mates. At least the initial appointment that will discuss the treatment plan so that you know if this doesn't work, if the pill doesn't work, then you can try another type of pill. You may change the frequency, or then you may go to the pumps, and when should you introduce injections and all these other things. And the thing about this also is you have to be aware of other illnesses and other comorbidities, right? So if heart attack was present in the past, then you may have to talk about, well, what's a better dose to start to test it? Because that was a big fear of some of my patients, right? Because when you're taking these medication, let's say high blood pressure medication, and their blood pressure is already low, redirecting some of that blood to the penis can cause them to have a syncopal event, that is, to faint. So you want to do these sexual fixes and treatment based on the overall big picture of what it is that your mate is going through. Additionally, why you need to go. I've found out most men tend to fib on their true functionality. You know, I mean, 60-year-old male saying that they're functioning as though they're 21. Now we know that's not true. So how do we know this? There is a questionnaire that is typically given to our male patients, and you can do an internet search and go over this with your mate as well. It's called SHIM, SHIM, which stands for Sexual Health Inventory for Male. And this will give you an idea of the questions that your mate will be asked. To make it even more fun, you can have fun with this too, you know. You can print out 2 copies and let him fill one out where he thinks he is, and you can fill one out to see where you actually think he is, and that will foster a discussion as well, right? So there is lots that you can do, sister friend, to be a part of noting the diagnosis of ED and being a part of the treatment process for him without it being a bitter, sad journey. You can make this where it's a process that you can come together and grow closer with your mate. Sister friend, you need to do what you have to do to assemble your A team to tackle the mystery that is erectile dysfunction. You may also consider entering couples therapy and sex therapy, where a little professional guidance can help you both navigate the emotional twists and turns with some finesse. It's like having a GPS for your relationship, ensuring you stay on course without detours into frustration town. And even if you get a little bit frustration, it's okay to take a break and say, you know what? I think we're getting a little frustrated here. How about we try again tomorrow? Or let's take a break. Let's go for a walk together and let's do this again next week, or whatever time frame you want to agree on. But don't let it be pushy and cause frustration. Sometimes you have to take baby steps in these arena. And hey, you're not alone in this, right? There are resources out there. Ask your primary care provider for recommendations. Be careful of the internet searches out there. Please, ladies, no sort of remedies can be done to you to treat his erectile dysfunction. That bears repeating, right? It's not you, ladies. It's something mechanical going on with his body, so you can't take the potion. And also be careful about the types of potion and stuff he's introducing into his body to try and be functional again. You know, I'm from the Caribbean and they have all sorts of what I call folklore and tales, and some swears by it and some say it doesn't work. You know, the Irish moss and the, what was it? The cow foot hoof. And, you know, there's all these things out there in the ginseng that's supposed to give virility and stuff to men. But be careful about certain things that you use. Everything natural isn't all natural. That is to say, even natural things have side effects as well. I know while I was at Walter Reed, the Center for Prostate Disease and Research, they had a sexual function review for men like monthly, not only just for prostate cancer, but also for others seeking education and on what can be done for treatment of erectile dysfunction. Don't know if they still have it there, but I imagine there are other hospitals, other urology offices, and other such services available out there where they actually talk about things like this and talk about proven treatments. Again, I go back to, back home in the Caribbean, we have all these things, and I'm sure some of them work, but I don't know which one works, so don't ask me which one works or which one doesn't, right? Just be careful. And especially if you're on medication for other things, sometimes some of these roots and herbs and things can affect the level of the medication in your bloodstream that's required. That's another dangerous thing. So you got to take care of your temple, or help your mate take care of their temple, right? So I keep saying you, just in case there's some male listeners in. I welcome all listeners. Be careful. Not everything purported on the internet to work to solve all sorts of mysterious stuff actually work. Just be knowledgeable of the things that you are doing. Talk to your primary care physician. Okay, well, we have covered a lot today. So if this podcast was informative and you enjoyed it, please share with others that may benefit, and consider a 5-star rating on your platform of choice so that others may find this useful information and benefit from it as well. Again, remember, when it comes to erectile dysfunction, keeping communication open ensures you're always on the same page, ready to tackle whatever comes your way, hand in hand and heart to heart with your mate. Stay connected and keep exploring with love. Well, sister friend, I know you have choices, so I thank you for tuning into Intimacy After podcast. You may subscribe for bi-monthly alerts, Or stay in the know by visiting my website at queenquanta.com. That's Queen, QUANTA.com. Until next time, remember, a life without intimacy is like your favorite meal without salt. Ladies, let's spice it up. Life is beautiful and God is awesome. This is Queen, signing out.